talking about having pizza parties for adults. Let me play the clip for you.
And I ended up in a corner talking.
This is just bizarre. I have never heard of a pizza party for adults, and they were talking about it being all night. And then look at this clip, and look at his facial expression at the end.
We had amazing pizza that night, and then
It was great. It was a blast. I mean, there's some good pictures from that night too.
I don't know what's going on here, but I personally find this very strange and worth further examination. What do you all think? Why are these celebrities talking about having pizza parties for adults? Let me play the clip for you.
You had a pizza party, and I went to it, and I ended up in a corner talking.
This is just bizarre. I have never heard of a pizza party for adults, and they were talking about it being all night.
The guy decided to polish his Tesla worth over...
Hey, fool. Stop playing, bro.
If you can't see it, you are just blind.
I said turn around, put your hands behind your back.
A viral video showing damaged mannequins inside a supermarket has sparked.
การแต่ฮิตแมนแต่นะ
อาละส่ง FO คือที่เอาสด
We have some big news right now. The Epstein Files fallout is growing fast. More people are resigning or losing their jobs. Today, according to...
Imagine you're a social worker and one day you hear about a girl whose parents tried to get rid of her by baking her alive in an oven.
Smart, well-educated young people from our own country, from around the...
This is an exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and, we think, a urologist, and I'm quoting, and they're going back and forth on stuff, and he says, I'm back, can call you in Stendra 100 at Zitmer. Now, Stendra is apparently this is an exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and, we think, a urologist, and I'm quoting, and they're going back and forth on stuff, and he says, I'm back, can call you in Stendra 100 at Zitmer. Now, Stendra is apparently an erectile dysfunction drug, and he's prescribing it to Jeffrey Epstein, who apparently needs it. And
I'm going to show you one of the most heartbreaking, horrific emails in the Epstein files that were found today between Jeffrey Epstein and a survivor. And before I do, I want this to serve as a trigger warning because of how graphic it is. I'm sharing this because it's an example of how deep Epstein's coercion went. And it's exactly why survivor testimony must be taken so critically. This is an email exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and what appears to be a survivor. In this email exchange, the survivor is telling Jeffrey Epstein that she went to a doctor and was told that she had an infection. She tells Epstein that she had only been sexually involved with him and just could not understand how that happened. She also told Epstein that she was uncomfortable visiting a male physician. Now, the email is horrific, heartbreaking, and the world needs to see the horrors that these children were put through, because maybe then more people would start taking this seriously. Maybe then people...
The consequences from the latest Epstein files have officially begun. Lithuania has become the first country following the latest release to officially open an investigation into potential human trafficking. Over in Poland, their Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, he has now set up a new task force investigation into new evidence which suggests Epstein may have been linked to Russia's KGB in order to collect compromising information on the elites of the Western world. He said,
this can only mean that they also possess compromising material against many leaders still active today.
We wish you luck with that one, Donald Tusk. Over in the UK, one of the biggest political scandals in decades is unfolding after police launched a criminal investigation into Lord Mandelson. This is following documents suggesting that not only did he potentially give Epstein sensitive government information in 2009, but also he allegedly received $75,000 from him in 3 separate 25,000 transactions in 2003 and 2004. Lord Mandelson, who also served as US ambassador last year, has now been forced to resign from the Labour Party and the House of Lords. In Slovakia, their national security advisor to the country's prime minister has now also been forced to resign after the files showed that he had a text exchange with Epstein saying that he would take the MI girl, to which Jeffrey responded with, you can have them both, I'm not possessive, and they're sisters. Over in the United States, Bill and Hillary Clinton have finally agreed to testify on their dealings with Jeffrey Epstein after months of refusing. And to To make it even more interesting, their spokesperson said they look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone, suggesting more people could be next. The NFL said that they are now looking into the New York Giants co-owner, Steve Tisch, after emails suggested that Epstein scouted women for him. In the UK, police are now looking into new allegations against Andrew and has now officially had to move out of the Royal Windsor Lodge. And speaking of Drew, British tabloids have also had headlines this week saying that his ex-wife and former royal fled the country amidst the Epstein scandal. She is now looking for a new home overseas. But the question is, will more real consequences follow, or will all of this become a big pile of nothing? Again, the consequences from the latest Epstein files.
The Epstein files aren't the end game. They are a distraction. While we're focused on those names in the documents, the people who actually own the system are laughing, because the real crime didn't happen on an island in the Caribbean. It happened on an island in Georgia. In this episode, we'll cover the Jekyll Island takeover that privatized the American dollar and the truth about 2008, where the collapse of Lehman Brothers was actually a calculated consolidation of power. You won't want to miss this one. On the freezing cold night of November 22nd, 1910, a man named Frank Vanderlip stood on the concrete platform of the Hoboken Railway Terminal in New Jersey. He was clutching a shotgun case in one hand and a heavy leather suitcase in the other. He had
Okay, this email thread where Jeffrey is plotting and planning what to do with a woman who had accused one of his buddies, Leon Black, of R-word, and to get some assistance in figuring out what to do with this girl who was causing so much trouble in his life and his friends' lives, he consulted one of Putin's advisors. Said advisor is specifically Sergei Belikov. I'm almost positive that there is an unredacted version of this email that was put in the files before the second drop because of past public reporting.
This is for all the MAGA Filipinos. There are so many allegations made against Trump and many others in these new Epstein files. So the best way to go through them is person by person. Part 1, Donald Trump. Now, his name does come up a lot, to be more precise, over 1,000 times. In fact, the guy who just produced Melania Trump's new documentary, Brett Ratner, he was actually seen in the files as well, hugging a young girl next to Epstein. Now, just so you know, most of the Trump mentions in these files, there's no allegations of wrongdoing. And they're more like things from news articles that Epstein was referencing in his emails to other people. However, there is one document in particular that has raised a lot of concern online. So last year, the FBI compiled a list of allegations that were made against Trump that they received in 2020 from a tip line that they set up, allowing anyone from the public to phone in and report a crime. And here we see a lot of disturbing allegations against Trump. One of the complaints details a woman who says that she was R-word, I can't say it on here, by Trump when she was just 13 years old. One of the complaints also alleged that Trump and Epstein held, quote, calendar girl parties at Mar-a-Lago, where Trump would auction off young girls and do horrific things to them. A different complaint alleges that Trump's golf course in California was the center of a trafficking ring between 95 and 96, and that some of the girls went missing and were allegedly buried at the facility. The files also include an FBI interview with one of Epstein's victims who stated that Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, once presented her to Trump at a party, and that apparently Ghislaine making it very clear to Trump that this girl was available, with Ghislaine allegedly telling the girl, oh, I think he likes you, aren't you lucky, this is great. Now, there are a lot of tips that the FBI received, most of which are so graphic, I can't even repeat them on here. But here's the thing, in the documents themselves, the FBI say that none of these allegations can be substantiated, and that these claims had no supporting evidence to follow up on further. But ultimately, it's up to you guys to look at the facts and make your own minds up. But next, in part 2, we're talking about Bill Gates.
Hope you are feeling better. Did we analyze the jerky? Why didn't we get jerky this week? I also added more to the jerky and ginger lemongrass. Thank you so much, super cool. Beef jerky, delicious. Jojo is here and we'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. We'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. Why would jerky walk around? Why would it do that? Delicious lunch, beef jerky. Steve and I are very grateful above all for your friendship. Some of these emails emails are so wholesome, aren't they? It's too bad they eat kids. A small insulated bag would be fine. I don't remember checking it. No need for crazy amounts of ice. One should do. There is one bag of beef jerky in the fridge. Please get it. Also, Blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well. I suppose it needs to be in a cold, insulated bag. Just wanted to touch base about jerky. J.E. said he was going to start eating regular food again, so he might be eating less jerky. He said he has 6 bags of it in the downstairs freezer. Why would you freeze jerky? Steve needs a 6 to 8 ounce portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to. I felt like it was more important for you to have the jerky to eat during my time off. My plan is to make a batch before I leave for LSJ, and some of that will go to Steve, and the rest will go to you at LSJ when I arrive. Little St. James Island. And that's what LSJ must mean. So logically, that means that they were doing this off of the island. Steve Hansen is sending jerky to your attention overnight. I believe it should be enough to get him through. Jeffrey Epstein is asking to bring him more jerky. I'm flying in on Friday. I will bring jerky. Is there a time I could come say hi and drop off the beef jerky? And that's from Jeffrey Epstein. Francis has time to come tomorrow. Show me how to make it. Jerky class anyone. He will bring you to taste his new jerky recipe from the restaurant. He sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called guys, the restaurant's called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it, beef jerky and steak. Can Blank make some jerky? I think we should landscape all around the house to use the water if possible. If the main house is not enough. Are there any recorded images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky at all? No, there are no recorded or publicly known images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky. Who sends beef jerky to a lab for analysis? Wait, what? I was looking for the beef jerky as I knew it was in my suitcase, and I thought that maybe I left it on the beach, only to find a small plastic bag near my dog's bed. I'll email Francis to make us some more, as I need 6 to 8 ounces to send to the lab, and I'll forward to Francis the info to send to the lab directly. Guys, I think something's going on. What's this here? Commercial. Apparently it's his last girlfriend who's active on Twitter right now. Check the mail. Names for hers again. Oh boy. People are saying this is Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend. And this is the same name as inside of the files. And her name change hasn't occurred since 2017, before the files released. After years of silence, the truth. Jeffrey was innocent. I really? Like, he just a good boy? He didn't do nothing wrong? Trapped by powerful people who silenced him. I was his last confidant, and I have the evidence that they're still hiding. I'm not suicidal, just in case. You'll know the whole truth soon. They sacrificed children to Lucifer. It's an entire cult. Jeffrey got involved in their operation for financial reasons and to obtain Combraprat, but never participated in the rituals. Oh, what is this here? I'll pull this one up and see it. That's crazy. She cooked in the brain? Maybe. She ate the brain? Yeah, maybe she did. Wire transfer request form. A 65-gallon, guys, 6 55-gallon sulfuric acid with fuel and insurance charge? They are dissolving bodies.
Is your money dirty money? If you live, I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money? No, it's not. So, in fact, why is it not dirty money? Because I earned it. But you earned it. We went back to this before. You earned it. You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right? That do enormous bad things, and just to make more money. You're a mathematician. We walked into that clinic where they're giving that money out to these people that are in the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from class 3 sexual predator? Tier 1. What's tier 1's the highest and worst? No, I'm the lowest. I'm the lowest. You're the lowest. Okay, tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal. Yes. That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children? I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children. Did they know where the money came from? I think if you told them, I told them the devil, 100%. The devil himself. The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life. Do you think you're the devil himself? No, but I do have a good mirror. It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself? I don't know. Why would you say that? Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody who knows it.
Power and the money, money and the power, minute after minute, hour after hour, everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking what's going on in the kitchen, but I don't know what's cooking. They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me. If they can't understand it, how can they reach me? I guess they can't, I guess they won't, I guess they front. That's why I got my hand on the pump, fool. Been spending most of my life.
Now, why do you suppose there's a memo in the Epstein files from the Department of Justice dated Friday, August 9th, 2019, announcing the death of Jeffrey Epstein, when in fact, Epstein was not found unresponsive in his cell until 6:30 a.m. on Saturday, August 10th, 2019. They had a memo drafted announcing his death before they knew it had occurred? Interestingly enough, at 10:39 p.m. on Friday, August 9th, 2019, there is footage that's being reviewed by investigators that shows some kind of orange flash headed up the stairs right towards Epstein's cell shortly before he died. Now, I have had some people already suggest that maybe, just maybe, this is a typo. And I would tend to agree that maybe it was a typo, except they spelled the whole thing out. Friday, August 9th, 2019. They were ready to announce the death of a man who hadn't actually died yet.
Did they eat babies? Well, I have some shocking new things to show you. First of all is this email exchange sent in July of 2009. I do not know who this was sent to and who Jeffrey was talking to, but as you can see, somebody at the bottom writes Jeffrey and says, LOL, I don't know if cream cheese and baby are on the same level. And then they talk about a schedule and a fuel explosion. I don't know what that even means. But yeah, disturbing. I don't know if cream cheese and baby are on the same level. I mean, babies are babies. Cream cheese is a food that you eat, obviously. And then above that, Epstein writes back, there are millions of babies, very little good vegetable cream cheese. So you can make of that what you will, but to me, it really seems like they're discussing eating babies. I mean, I don't really know what to make of that. There's also a lot of what seems to be coded speak in the Epstein files dealing with muffins. For example, here's one email found in the files that says, hey Lynn, can you please make sure I have some muffin batter and baked muffins to take with us tomorrow to the ranch? Thanks. Then here's another email. T passed on your rude Easter creature movie. Thought you might like Nutty. I doubt he's up to your normal muffin standard. Hope to see you soon. Whatever that means. Here's another one you can pause to read if you'd like. The other thing he would like to change is the size of his muffins. Could you please bake the muffins for Mr. Epstein, make them smaller in size? Your muffin proportions are good. However, they should have no brown sugar on the top. Then again, woohoo, I'm so happy for you. Gobble down a muffin, take a nice long shower, and crawl into bed. Which is such a strange email. And this one's pretty bizarre. Hi, Sodom. Jeffrey might come back to New York, June, yada, yada. I think we should get the muffin ingredients on the airplane this Friday, June 8th, just in case. Do any of the ingredients expire quickly, or will all be okay until June 20th? Then in response, there's nothing that will expire quickly, and all the ingredients will be ready by...
Hi, my name is Lauren, and I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology, and I am currently in the process of getting my certification in paralegal studies. I have been reading and taking notes on the release of the new Epstein files, so you do not have to. I have begun my research with Mr. Trump. Now, he did tell a reporter today.
Now that nothing came out of
President Trump is mentioned more than 1,000 times in the newly released documents, reflecting a long-standing social and business connection between the two men. Previous document releases indicated Trump was listed as a passenger on Epstein's jet 8 times between 1993 and 1998. And now, the newly released documents include uncorroborated claims about Donald Trump. The White House responding to...
I'm going to show you how you can access the Epstein files because everyone needs to be aware of these. Once you click on that link, you're just going to scroll down and you're going to see go to DOJ disclosures. You're going to click that. And then you're going to click Epstein Files Transparency Act.
In a new Epstein file leak, it mentions that World War III will be starting in...
This is why the Epstein files were hidden for so long. I'm going to go through some more code words. This time we're going to go through...
Jeffrey Epstein warning, listen.
If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know. 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%.
So hackers were able to unredact all of the Epstein file. And now look what Trump is telling the citizens of Iran to do. Leave Iran now. That is what a lot of people are saying. He's going to do this to distract, but that's all it's just hypothetical. Watch this. Epstein file. So all of the school photos of every single American child is in the Epstein files. If you're a parent, this should make your stomach drop. Every year, millions of families across America proudly display school photos of their children on refrigerators, blah, 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 blah. But here's what most parents are never told. Those photos are taken by LifeTouch, the largest school photography company in America. LifeTouch is owned by Shutterfly. Shutterfly was acquired by Apollo Global Management, and Apollo Global Management was co-founded by Leon Black, a name that appears in the Epstein files. We can't even safely take pictures of our kids in school. We are living...
I'm in the Epstein files. Not kidding, not a joke. I actually am...
At the end of the party.
So my dad...
After the Epstein file release, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche went on Fox News and was grilled about the Trump administration's response to all of this. What he says here confirms the Trump administration have reneged on their promises to us. No one involved with Jeffrey Epstein is going to be held accountable, as you'll see.
Is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in, relations with minors will be prosecuted? Any chance?
I'll never say no, and we will always investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, and so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein. And some of these men may have done horrible things, and if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to...
Didn't look like that's all that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And unfortunately, photos can't speak.
So is this the official narrative now? That it's not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein? And unfortunately, photos can't speak, so therefore, we can't do anything about any of this? We know that the individuals involved were doing terrible things. That's what he just said. But that doesn't mean we can prosecute any of them. You American people just need to understand this, okay? You can commit crimes at parties, guys. Criminal activity, like drug use, sex with minors, for example, these are criminal activities that take place at parties. Or are they just going to sit here and tell us that these big, powerful elites just got together to have pizza parties? But
But the ringleaders, this is important, but the ringleaders of all of this whole thing, ended up in jail. One still is, and the other has ended up dead. This MAGA movement was supposed to be of the people. It was able to bring people who were able to reconcile certain differences, politically speaking, because it was a people versus the elites movement. It was a movement promised to identify, expose, and to root out the fraud.
Do you remember in the first batch of Epstein files when people found out that you could unredact some of the information because they only highlighted the words black instead of actually redacting them? Yeah, so I have found in this new batch that there are multiple copies of certain documents, and within these multiple copies, some have some things redacted while the others have other things redacted. And I just wanted to share some of that with you. In this document, we have someone giving Epstein permission to kill someone, and they are specifically with a redacted person. In the same exact document, but a different file, it's unredacted and it says Olga. So when I look up Olga within the files, it comes back as Aunt Olga Tabak, so I'm not sure who that is. This one has to do with 4chan's politically incorrect thread being a honeypot and built at least in part by Epstein, and you see him talking to this guy and it's redacted. But then in the identical article, just a different document, it's just Christopher Poole, completely unredacted. This one has to do with the founder of TMZ apparently being good friends with Epstein. And in one document, it shows Epstein's email, and in the other document, it's redacted his email. I still have 3 others, so I'll put them here so you can look them up yourselves. But this is a good example of how poor of a job they've done with withholding and redacting information. And it makes sense and gives more context as to why they've released all these documents and are now pulling stuff off live off of the website.
This picture was on the Department of Justice's website last night.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor told Jeffrey Epstein Is it true that you forced as a 15-year-old girl to have sex with numerous friends of yours?
Are you kidding?
Reading from a law.
Oh, you're reading from a law. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Mr. Evans. I'm going to have to, though I'd like to answer that question as well, as I answered most of your other questions here today. I would like to respond. My attorneys, however, have advised me I have to assert my 5th Amendment, 6th Amendment, and 14th Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution.
How did you meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I intend to respond to all relevant. We had philosophy. Some of the philosophers can't do math.
The most important thing to come out of the Epstein files is that Americans have finally come to realize something that the rest of the world has always known, which is that we are truly not free. The Epstein files is not conspiracy. The U.S. Department of Justice have published these files, 3.5 million documents to be exact, with incriminating evidence of the whole U.S. oligarchy doing the most disturbing and disgusting things to an...
Can bring a little baby back for you or 2, boys or girls, so Madonna. We'll email when we get to Amsterdam. That is a real email from the recent Epstein files releases. And if you want to take a screenshot or pause this and look, this is the email itself. It was sent by a woman named Penny Siegel to Jeffrey Epstein's email account in 2009 with the subject Kenya. And I don't know what this means. I don't know if this woman was talking about actually smuggling babies out of Kenya to be given to Jeffrey Epstein. If she was talking about trafficking children, I don't know. But I've heard stories like this before. For example, in the Marc Dutroux story, Marc Dutroux is basically the Jeffrey Epstein of...
No bullshit. What is the point of the Epstein files if nothing is ever going to happen to the people in them? Is this just going to be an endless cycle of us getting horrific news?
The word torture was used 549 times within the Epstein files. So let's go through some of those files. First is this email from 2011 from Epstein that says, do you want me to try to do her, ... or just torture her? This email from Epstein to Richard Kahn in 2015 that says, priority is finding the 20M with Jocelyn. First step equal to torture. This email from Jeffrey Epstein to redacted name in 2009 that says, where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video. This email exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Deepak Chopra in 2016 that says, funny and insightful, but I is not a person. It is the awareness in which the person is a fictional character. The characters are in time. Awareness is not in time, not subject to birth or death. Birth and death are human constructs. To which Epstein responds, I enjoy your new fascination with the term human constructs, as well as mobjects. Reality...
They should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in a twist here. Let's not get our knickers in a twist over...
There's something.
This is what people are trying to ignore in the Epstein files, and it is beyond disturbing according to what is being described.
No black girls allowed on Epstein Island? Here's why. Jeff gave in at some point and told him, yes, I'll find some friends. Jeff wanted young, fresh girls, virgins. He told, don't bring me any N-words. Never ever brought any friends. At this point in the interview, Attorney Barry advised.
This picture in the Epstein.
Over $15 million was transferred to one of Epstein's banks after he passed away. And to this day, we've still not been given an explanation as to why this happened. The money was moved 7 months after he allegedly took his life. According to a court hearing in 2020, documents presented to a judge in the U.S. Virgin Islands show a series of multi-million-dollar payments transferred from Epstein's estate to a bank he owned.
The Epstein files prove.
Now that nothing came out about me, other than there was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare,
justice, Mr. President?
something that people care about. You know, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings.
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Let's get the first thing out the way off the top. Who sitting right here, right now, is in the Epstein files?
Senator. Right here. What are you talking about? Only in newspaper articles, please.
Yes. Who else?
We're talking about.
Michael, make eye contact with me, Michael.
So this is true. This is true. Hassan, you and I are in the Epstein files. But no, it's for doing political. Calm down. We're gonna get to why.
Don't ever get to why, and let me just enjoy it.
No, I have to get to why.
You're all nasty.
No, Hassan and I are in the files for doing political comedy shows. Senator Schiff is in there for a bunch of news headlines, and Michael Ian Black is in there for his show on something called Crackle. Okay. So, Amber, it looks like you are the odd one out when it comes to who's in the Epstein file. Now, we've had about a week to take in all of
Wait a second. This is bro, we're boys. And you text me, hey, come on the show. And you're gonna ambush me in Act 1 with a comedian friend of mine, and who's in the Epstein files? I'm like, hey, how do you think I feel? Senator, you know what you signed up for.
If you thought that the Diddy verdict was wild, just listen.
Jimmy Caholt?
Diddy gives a start on the Epstein files. He says,
Some of the recent photos released by the DOJ from the Epstein files will make you sick to your stomach. Like these photos. I'm pretty sure that this is Epstein's hand with a young girl's hand, one of the victims, in the bath. And there's an entire set of photos relating to this bath time, and they're just incredibly disturbing. I found it interesting, too, that it seems like in some of these photos, we are seeing a professional photo shoot set up.
In the Epstein files, it literally shows emails that Jeffrey Epstein was creating.
So they literally sat on these Epstein documents for
Last night, President Trump. However, when President Trump speaks.
This one's in file.
I stayed up.
Okay, so I came across this and I need to talk it through with you. So there are claims circulating that after Jeffrey Epstein died, staff at the Manhattan jail said documents were being shredded, like everything, bags of paperwork allegedly going straight into the dumpster. And I'm sorry, but that alone raises questions, not accusations. I'm just saying questions. Why would records be destroyed after a high-profile death tied to a massive federal investigation What paperwork are we talking about? With files, logs, communication? Because context matters and transparency matters even more, which, you know, with the Epstein files, they're not getting that much. This is coming up again now because people are revisiting emails and records connected to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and it's reminding a lot of folks.
Did you know that the newly released Epstein files reveal something absolutely wild about how deep this thing really goes? So get this. Buried in these documents is proof that Jeffrey Epstein had a secret coded system for ranking his powerful friends. We're talking about presidents, princes, and billionaires all getting little numbers next to their names in his private records. But here's where it gets really crazy. The files show that Epstein kept detailed notes about which world leaders owed him favors, like actual IOUs from people running entire countries. And the most shocking part, there's evidence he was planning.
It's over for Trump. Okay, gentlemen. Who's ready to see? If you thought that the Diddy verdict was wild, just listen to what the U.S. government said today. Axios is just celebrity reactions to being.
I have one question. Why are we so focused on the list? We don't need a list. The picture says it all. A list for what? We already know who all been there. Money. Money talk. Let's not.
Y'all know these Epstein.
Have you ever had Jeffrey?
This is one of the most disturbing photos that I've seen in the.
As a Muslim, looking at these Epstein files has actually increased my faith. Because when I see these files, it's so clear what evil is and what is sinful. And you look at all the things that are haram, you look
Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately.
But the next name on this list might surprise.
They say they collected 6. So for those of you who
This morning, Israeli.
Hi, guys. So
The FBI just accidentally released 11.
whose blood was you drinking?